Good morning and welcome to Mystical Teachings from the Tanya. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine coming to you from Chabad Zurich and Kadesh in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We welcome this morning. We welcome Balinit from Debrecen, Hungary. Welcome. Aftab, hello. Well, you have to remind me where you're from. Linda and Denise, good morning. In New York, we have with us Erica in Norway. And Tim is with us from Texas. Sandy from Michigan, good morning. Simcha from, you have to remind me, John from North Carolina, welcome. And Hannah is with us from California, if I recall correctly. And also from California, Santa Rosa, Mark, welcome. And a Freiliche Chanukah to everybody. A happy Chanukah, a lichtike, full of light, and full of joy and health. Lara in Queens with us, shalom. Joe is with us, welcome. Margolozata from Poland, welcome, good afternoon. And from Texas, Joanne is with us. Elaine is with us from Georgia. Stuart, welcome. And Freeman also from Texas, from Plano, Texas, welcome. Wonderful. And Sarah Malka, good morning. From Charlotte, North Carolina. Stan from London, England, where Shabbos is coming in shortly. Pamela from Oakton, Virginia, welcome. And Shuva, to remind me. Okay. Alice from Baltimore is with us. And Pedro from New Jersey, Vineland, New Jersey. And Marlene from New York City, shalom. Greg from Bakersfield, California, together with Paula. Eugenia from Calgary. Okay, folks. We begin today the third chapter. This chapter in one word is Esser, 10. In yesterday's class, we learned about the essence of the divine soul. The essence of the divine soul, that it's literally a part of God. Everything in creation is from the Word of God. The Word, just as it is in the human condition, it leaves us, separate from us. Now, the Word of God is not separate from God, but from our perspective, we being created beings, or the world being created beings, we have, at least from our perspective, a sense of separateness from God. And that because we come from the Word of God. The soul, the divine soul, though, is a part of God and doesn't lose that sensibility. Now, it is in our body right now, so it's a created being, and therefore it can be entrapped. It can lose its effectiveness, but the nature of it is, and we'll learn more about that in the forthcoming chapters, but the nature of it is that it is bound up in one with God. Being it's a part of Him, not a creation of Him. Being that it's a part of Him and not a creation of God. That's the essence of the divine soul, what we learned in chapter 2. Now, what is the makeup of this soul? What's the makeup of our divine soul? So the Alter Rebbe explains that the Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama, the three gradations of the soul, are made up of 10 faculties. And why 10 faculties? Why not 11? Why not 9? It's because there's 10 divine attributes. In the world of Atzilus, the world of God's emanation, where godliness resides, God has 10 divine attributes, which are divided into two categories. Those two categories are what he calls mothers and offspring, or mothers and doubles, actually. The mothers are the intelligence of the soul. Why they're called mothers, we'll find out. And they are mothers that give birth to offspring. What is the offspring? Emotions. Emotions. And the emotions, actually, he calls them kfulois, doubles, because there's an inner dimension to the emotions and an outer dimension. There is the prime mover of the emotion and the application of that emotion, or how it expresses itself, right? So he begins with the three mothers. They're called Chachma, Bina, V'das. We translate it as wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, but we will see it's really more about inspiration, cognition, and then meditation. We'll get there. And then the 7 emotions. And the 7 emotions, interesting, are the 7 days. Did you ever wonder why there's 7 days of the week? Very arbitrary thing. It's because God created the world in 7 days, of course. Why 7? Because there's 7 emotions. Chesed, translated as kindness. Gvura, severity. Tiferet is beauty. Netzach, endurance. Hod, splendor. Yesod, foundation. Malchus, royalty. So God in each day, the dominant aspect of each day of creation, is one of the divine emotive attributes. Now, so likewise, just as it is divided in the divine order of things into 2 subcategories, intelligence and emotions, so likewise it is in our soul. Why? Because this soul is a part of God. So therefore it's also. Now the intelligence, as we mentioned, are the mothers. The whole point of intelligence is to be a mother, to bear an offspring, which is emotions. But let's get into the intelligence first. Chochma. Chochma comes from the word koachma, the power of what? It is that flash of intuition, of inspiration that comes into your head, into your mind. Eureka, I got it. And all you have is a seed. All you have is a seed of the idea. But in that seed, just as a seed has the entire tree, just as the seed or the semen of the father has the entire child in potential, it's there. What's the problem? It's only in potential. It can be lost easily. Therefore, if someone nudges you while you're in that inspirational moment, you could lose the entire thought and the entire idea. Gone. So it's a flash of intuition, flash of inspiration. Then you need to bring it into the next level is Bina. Bina, we translate understanding here. It really means cognition, where you crystallize, clarify, and you take the seed and you now, it grows into roots, into tree trunk, branches, and so on. Meaning there's a whole breadth and length and depth to the idea, to this idea that came from Chochmah that was drawn out into a total a total understanding, and that's why we translate as understanding of the idea. Breadth means that you see that this idea, how it is connected in a wide variety of ideas. Length means that you can bring it down. You could bring it down, for example, with metaphors, to make it more understandable for someone who can't understand the idea itself. And then depth means that you dig deeper to find the depth of the idea. And then finally we have das. Das comes from the word Adam knew Eve, meaning they had relations, meaning there was a deep connection. This is when you take the idea and you meditate upon it, right? You have the length, the depth, and the breadth of an idea. Now you meditate upon it. When you meditate upon it, it makes that abstract idea real. So real that it becomes a living idea rather than just a piece of information. That's what Das does. Allows us to connect to it. I'm teaching right now. Soon. So we have the conception, the building of the idea, and then the connecting to the idea that it becomes real. So let us give an idea of that. So when you understand how God fills the world, and you understand how God is not just fills the world as immanent, but he is also transcendent of the world. He's beyond. Right? And you understand also how God is, before him there's nothing. 3 dimensions of the divine order of things. What's going to be the consequence of that? When you really, go through the process and you get the das, the connection to it. What's going to be the process? The first thing is you're going to have this sense of awesomeness, of God's presence. You're going to be even a sense of bashfulness before God. It's like anybody stood before a great individual, like I stood before the Rebbe, there's a sense of bashfulness, of smallness, because you know you're standing in front of something great. And so that's what's going to happen when you really, it's real to you, these teachings of God's presence in the 3 dimensions we just explained. And then it'll also bring you to a love of God, because now you want to get close. Your heart will be full of an intense, fiery passion to connect. And that's all in the emotional level of the emotion of love and fear of God, awe of God. That's what it will produce. How will this be done particularly? Because of das. Das is that part that takes it and brings it through the neck over here. That's a constricting part and allows it to go down into the heart, from here to the heart, and allows it to funnel in there and to make it. But it can't be just it's a fleeting idea. It has to be something that we concentrate and meditate and it becomes real to us. So we're learning Tanya over here. And the more we learn it, and the more, not just learn it, but think it, meditate it, and allow it to become filtered into our hearts. Those are the 2 things. So that's why it's a mother, because it's giving offspring. Now, why is it called doubles, the emotions? Because the love that you will feel will bring you to acts of kindness, chesed. The dread or awe that you feel will bring you to a sense of, withdrawal. So those are, the outer and the inner aspects. Withdrawal meaning to hold back, bite your tongue. When you need to bite your tongue for saying something you shouldn't say, for example, by way of example. This is what we're made up of, the 10 divine powers of the soul that come from a part of God. And that's in each and every single divine soul. And that's it. More to come. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zich and Kadesh, Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege, a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have a wonderful day, a good Erev Shabbos, a wonderful Chanukah, Freilichen, Lichtike, Chanukah. Thank you all for joining.